Synodon is a technology company which has developed an advanced airborne remote gas sensing system called RealSense, based on technologies developed under the Canadian Space Program and by Synodon scientists. The company currently provides advanced airborne pipeline integrity management services to the oil and gas sector through a suite of services. SmallCapPower recently caught up with CEO Adrian Banica, where he told us more about Synodon.
Synodon is an Edmonton-based technology company that is currently trading on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol SYD. Synodon has a technology that we use to deploy over pipelines and other oil and gas facilities, and we provide leak detection and emission monitoring services on top of other integrity management services that pipeline operators, for example, need. Synodon also has a proprietary patented technology that we call RealSense.
So how was your RealSense technology acquired and how does it work?
Synodon bought the initial intellectual property for our technology from the Canadian Space Agency, University of Toronto. The technology is originally deployed on the satellite called Terra, and it was measuring carbon monoxide and methane globally. We then adapted this technology to work from a helicopter, and we use it to detect gases within the atmosphere. Our technology uses sunlight to measure the small changes in color that the gases impart on the infrared portion of the sun, and with that we can then map the plume of the emission source and how large the emission is.
Interesting. So how large is the market for the RealSense technology?
The primary market that we're focusing on right now is the oil and gas sector, and the opportunities within that sector to provide our services are quite broad, and they start all the way at the wellhead, where companies produce either oil or gas or other products, and it propagates through the gathering pipelines, the transmission pipelines that bring the product to markets, and then all the way to the end consumer. So there are multiple niches, multiple types of operators within that. Overall, if you look globally at the market, you're looking at roughly $1.6 to $2 billion annually that companies that operate within these sectors spend on monitoring their leaks and emissions.
So what makes Synodon different or better than other existing solutions?
We are the only ones in the world that have this particular technology. It is a Canadian innovation. It was invented at the University of Toronto. And it's also very unique. The other methodologies that can be used to detect gases remotely either make use of lasers or they have to physically sample the gas, which means that they have to fly very low to the ground. So in comparing it to lasers, which are the direct competition to what we do, we have a much broader swath. We can measure a much larger area, which allows us to actually also image the plume and indirectly then calculate how much gas actually escapes rather than just detecting that there's gas or there is no gas.
Right. So can the leak detection technology be used for any other uses?
Indeed it can. For all intents and purposes, our technology is not limited to hydrocarbon gases. We can look at hydrocarbon vapors from liquids, for example, which we just recently announced that we have demonstrated we can detect leaks from oil pipelines, for example. But it can also be used for other gases. We can use it for emissions that relate to drug manufacturing, for example, or illegal drug manufacturing. We can use it for military uses in battlefield situation. We can use it for industrial pollution monitoring of other types. So in general, our technology can be applied to very different applications. We chose the oil and gas sector primarily because of the need that it has, and also because of the amount of potential that the market presents to us.
Okay. So can you tell our viewers about your company's revenue model?
At this point, for the oil and gas sector, is actually very straightforward. We have the primary market that we're targeting right now are pipelines, both natural gas pipelines as well as liquid petroleum pipelines. So in that particular segment, we charge simply by flown kilometer, an inspected kilometer. So when a company hires us to inspect their entire network or a portion of the network, we simply charge them the number of kilometers that the network extends on times our fee per kilometer, which typically is around $70 per kilometer.
Okay. So what are some catalysts that investors or potential investors should look out for?
At this point in time, we've been now operating for 3 years. Our technology has been in development since 2002, but we had commercialized it fully in about 2010. So we've been operating and signing on customers for about 3 years now. We're starting to get some critical mass in terms of acknowledgement in the market and acceptance by our customers. So I think the catalyst that investors should look for really is us signing new customers or extending existing customers to larger contracts.
Speaking of which, many companies are doing repeat testing and pilots of your technology. At what point does the pilot project end and your technology become an integral part of the pipeline testing strategy?
Very good question. We have, as I mentioned, we've been operating for the last 3 years. We have signed quite a number of different pipeline operators to our services. Some of them have done what we call initial projects or initial contracts. Majority of those clients have transitioned already to providing for us getting full services on their entire network or a larger portion of the network than the pilot. And we're also continuing to sign on new clients that seem to skip the initial pilot project and actually give us a larger percentage of network right off the bat.
So can you tell our viewers about any recent customer wins?
Yes, we recently had a flurry of signings for new customers, and that's typical for our business because particularly in Canada, a lot of them survey their pipelines in late summer or fall. But some examples for customer names is Enbridge Energy Partners, as well as Access Midstream, which both are those companies are Texas-based companies. But we also have announced a number of other contracts that we recently signed. So we have a number of key marquee customers overall in our suite, starting with Nova Chemicals, for example. And Suncor has also been announced recently of extending their services with us for a second year.
That's great, Adrian. Thanks for taking the time for the interview today.
Thank you.
To learn more about Synodon, be sure to visit their investor hub on SmallCapPower.com. And to stay on top of all of your favorite small cap news, be sure to sign up to our daily investors newsletter, featuring the Daily Momentum Gainer, Investment Idea of the Day, exclusive research, CEO videos, and more. SmallCapPower.com, investment ideas and research.